debate wearing their Los Suns jerseys to protest Arizona's new immigration law. But should the Suns be mixing sports with politics? Joining us right now for a fair and balanced debate, Mark Krikorian, Executive Director of the Center for Immigration Studies, and immigration attorney Michael Wiles. First off, Mark, to you. Is this the right message? This is a preemptive strike, Mark, that the Suns are doing so they're not protested like the Diamondbacks are?
It could be, but it really isn't surprising because it's just one more group of millionaires siding with illegal aliens against middle-class Americans. You know, this is the thing we see throughout the immigration debate, where elites, whether it's religious leaders, union leaders, business leaders, whatever, are basically on the side of illegal immigrants, whereas ordinary public or members of unions or members of churches or what have you are on the side of tougher enforcement.
Michael, I imagine you differ on this.
Well, you know, truthfully, we hear a lot of reporting of the Kobe Bryants and all the infidelity and crimes that are committed by a lot of sports figures. When a sports team takes a principled approach that the deafening silence in Washington is wrong, a state took action that we feel, many of us in the bar, is over the top, albeit well-intended. And now heroes to youth and to young Americans are actually taking a principled choice. People are complaining, well, the shirt should have said this, it should have been both in English, both in Spanish. Bottom line, this law was well-intended and a symptom of a problem we have through our nation with immigration, but it is the wrong venue. It is a federal law to do.
And on top of that, Mark, though, the people of Arizona, just about 60% of them like this law. So if they're representing Phoenix, they should be accurate and actually do something in support of the new immigration policy, correct?
Well, you'd think. On the other hand, look, these are guys who just bounce balls for a living. I mean, why don't they just leave politics to, you know, political debates? It just doesn't strike me, frankly, as appropriate one way or the other. Now, you know, I'm not a basketball fan, honestly, so I couldn't care less what they do. But, you know, the funny thing is, when, you know, during the Beijing Olympics, American basketball players wanted to protest Darfur, things like that, they were shut down by American authorities because that was inappropriate. But complaining about Americans who want security in their own homes, yeah, that's okay. That they can do.
If you get down to the real juice and the meat of the item, there are no enough handcuffs or airplanes to remove these individuals. And once all the police in Arizona round up people who have accents or look foreign and turn them over to ICE, they're not going to be able to remove them. I do believe in the First Amendment. I do believe that basketball players, whether they bounce a ball or put checks into their account, whether they're middle class or hail from lower class and kind of flew to first class, do have the right to express themselves. And this is a principled approach of an owner of a team that's going to say, look, we are embarrassed that our governor had to do this. President Obama, that deafening silence in Washington, members of Congress, you can be effective on the war on terrorism, still hail our creed, which is a nation of immigrants.
So if an owner decides to use his players as billboards, what can you do as a player? You're going to tell me every person on the Phoenix Suns believes that they should be standing up for the new laws passed throughout that state, Mark? Is that fair?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm really not sure a basketball jersey is the place to have political debates. I mean, look, it's hard enough to have a meaningful, substantive debate in, you know, 5 minutes on TV or 750 words in a newspaper. What kind of nuance, what kind of sense are you going to be able to get in on a basketball jersey that has broken Spanish written on it?
It probably wasn't in their contract, and I believe that any player has the right not to wear something if they conscientiously object. But as a measure of principle, this team...
Michael, there's no way a player's going to sit out a playoff game because of an Arizona immigration law. I just don't see it happening.
Well, I don't know that they would be forced to wear a jersey, and if a principled player felt so strongly against it, I'm sure he would have expressed himself. Here we're talking about sports figures walking around as a billboard for a law that we all agree